Our top story, well, 20 CRPF personnel have been killed in an IED blast in Jammu and Kashmir's Pulwama sector. The Jaish-e-Mohammed has claimed responsibility for this attack and dozens more have been injured in this attack. 15 of the injured are said to be in a critical condition. It is believed that an improvised explosive device caused the explosion at the Awantipora area in Pulwama sector. Now, gunshots were also reported from the scene after the blast occurred. The injured have been moved to an army base hospital in Srinagar. We believe now that the Home Minister Rajnath Singh will be making his way to Srinagar tomorrow to assess the extent of damage and assess the security situation as well. The CRPF officials say that there were 70 vehicles in the convoy which was on its way from Jammu to Srinagar. One of these vehicles came under attack. This convoy was carrying nearly 2,500 security personnel. This is the worst terror strike since the September 2016 Uri attack, when 4 heavily armed terrorists targeted an Indian Army base, killing 18 soldiers. The Indian Army had then responded with a cross-border surgical strike, destroying several Pakistani installations. And as I said, the Home Minister will be making his way. He's already spoken to the governor, who has also said that this is certainly an attack that comes from across the border conducted by the Jaish-e-Mohammed.
It's an extremely unfortunate and sad day when we lose our brave soldiers to such a dastardly attack by obviously Pakistan-based terrorist groups. However, their sacrifice will not go in vain. Our brave soldiers are empowered by the government to take whatever action they wish to take. In fact, it is their bravery and their action that has led to the elimination of many dreaded terrorists and reduction of terrorist activities in the state of Jammu and Kashmir.
And Ishan Wani is now joining us live for the very latest on-the-ground situation. And Ishan, what are you picking up at this moment? The worry here has been that the number of dead and injured is going to increase as the hours pass. Many of these soldiers are in a critical condition. What are you picking up?
Well, absolutely. What I've learned from my sources is that the number stands at 20, but they are expecting that because some of these Jawans are critically injured in this IED explosion, they may succumb to their injuries. But at the same time, we just saw minutes back the cavalcade, which was part of that group which came under attack, was actually went through that bypass and have left from this particular place. But vehicular movement is also going on now. That means the area has been cleared and sanitized by the security forces. At the same time, we have seen that I will give you a brief detail about the Jaish profile. Jaish-e-Mohammed outfit is known for carrying out these deadly attacks, including the suicide attacks. It was the Jaish-e-Mohammed which has been carrying out these deadly attacks on the security forces and installations. At the same time, as I said earlier, that this is the strategic highway and this is the place where time and time again militants have tried to strike, but those have been a hit-and-run cases or grenade lobbing or exchange of fire. But this time around it has been different, as claimed by the Jaish and said by the IGP that it was an IED suicide attack which was carried out by a resident of this particular district. He has been identified by the Jaish according to their statement as Adil. Now, this attack takes a lot of planning and precision. We have seen that this was a well-planned attack. It seems by the looks of it. I went to the spot and I saw that there were pieces of the vehicle all around that particular place. It's difficult to even define the scene that I saw at that particular place. But then forces went there and sanitized the entire area. They were looking. The bomb disposal squad was brought in. CRPF commandos were also there. But now we are seeing the officials are leaving from the spot and the vehicles are also being allowed to move.
Okay, Ishan, I have many more questions for you. Also joining us is Ahmed Shaheen from Pakistan, senior journalist. Ahmed, I'm just going to come to you in a bit, but let's get the details out first. Now, Ishan Wani, there is standard operating procedure when a convoy of this kind moves from one place to the other, from Jammu to Srinagar in this case. Now, was there a police patrol that was clearing the road, a clearing party before this happened? Obviously, there's been a breach here. And as you were pointing out earlier, that there were certain security inputs that there could be an attack of this kind. Obviously, the scale of this attack was not known.
Well, there's a deployment of QRT, which is a quick response team of the CRPF on this particular highway. As I said earlier, that this highway has come under attack from these militants time and time again. So that is why we're seeing mobile bunkers. The CRPF bunkers are part of that team. As we saw just moments back, there were mobile bunkers which were part of that particular vehicular movement wherein the militants attacked them. But right now, I can tell you is that the forces will look into the procedural lapse if there are any. We don't want to actually give out any operational details that what happened, was there any lapse or what happened, or which will lead to any speculation. But at the moment, right now, security forces are assessing that how did that person come into that particular place, because we have seen from the long time that they have managed to keep the militants at bay. But this time around, they have successfully been able to come with a car and ram that into a CRPF vehicle, which is a worrying sign. Last time we saw such suicide attack taking place was in Pulwama, when a local resident of Tral, who was a minor, went inside a camp of CRPF personnel, in which several fatalities of the CRPF personnel was witnessed. But this time around, it's a different sort of attack. In 2004 was the last time then we saw the use of vehicle in a particular suicide attack. Now, there may be questioning of several people, including the local residents who are living around that place. But the highway has come time and time under attack, and there are QRTs who have also come under attack. But this time around, it's a well planned. It seems that it took a lot of time for these organizations to plan this particular attack. Jaish is an organization which is based across the border, and they have been carrying out these deadly attacks in the Kashmir Valley in the past as well, including the Jammu region.
Yes, absolutely. And that brings me to my question to Emir Shaheen. Now, Emir, already, of course, the governor in the state has said that this is definitely an attack that comes from across the border. Jaish-e-Mohammed has its roots in Pakistan. And, I mean, what do you have to say to this? Once again, we've seen this brazen attack, and obviously, Indian authorities do feel that this is an attack that was planned from across the border, specifically from the Jaish from Pakistan. Emir. All right, Emir, I'm just going to come back to you. And now, Ishan, we're also picking up, of course, is that the Home Minister is going to be present in Srinagar tomorrow to assess the security situation. We know that his plan for Patna tomorrow has been cancelled. At this moment, Ishan, I'm presuming that there's a top-level security meeting that's already taking place to look into the various the information that's coming in to assess what's going to be the next plan of strategy. Ishan.
Well, absolutely. That will be the top priority for the government as well, because government has given strong message to these outfits that they will go, with full strength against them. Recently, when the Narendra Modi was here at SKICC, he talked tough on terror, and that is when the security forces have already been given orders that wherever they have received inputs about the presence of certain militants, they have gone and conducted this operation. In the same district, we saw on Sunday that there was an operation in which several militants were killed. But this time around, there was a group of Jaish militants who basically had planned this particular attack. What we are learning is that the security forces have gone in a hurdle, and they are assessing the situation, because they will have to look into two factors. One is that how did this particular car manage to reach that place, and how far was this particular QRT team from the position where this attack took place. At the same time, what was the response will be the government? What sort of response will the government give to these people who have been involved in this particular attack? We saw that there was an Uri attack, after which surgical strikes were launched by India. But this time we'll have to see what will be the response, not only from the Home Ministry but also from the Prime Minister as well, who would certainly speak about this issue, because the numbers of CRPF men that have been injured and are critical is very high. At the same time, at least 20 CRPF personnel have already died because of their injuries. Now, IED is something which hasn't been happening in the valley, and my sources always told me in the police that it is something which is worrying for them, because once you plant it, it's a different game altogether. At this time, there has been a car which is involved in this particular attack. Tomorrow, Home Minister will also, we are expecting that he will also lay the wreath on the, on these Jawans who have been martyred in this particular incident. But what we know so far from here is that the highway has been cleared, the scene has been cleared, but there is a deployment of security forces at the position as well.
Right. Ishan, stay with us now. We are also picking up, Ishan, that maybe the death toll has increased. We're not going to be putting a number to it, but because that may be changing as we continue to track this story. Now, Emma Shaheen, if you can hear me now, I was asking you that the governor of Jammu and Kashmir has already said that this is an attack that has happened from across the border. The Jaish-e-Mohammed is operational in Pakistan.
Yes, we could talk all about beefing up security and counter-terrorist measures, but both Pakistan and India need to address the issue, the big issue, the elephant in the room. Let me start with India first, so I don't get cut off when I'm talking about Pakistan. The problem with the Indian narrative is that India needs to understand that not because there is a terrorism taking place, but because it is the most urgent thing to do to address the grievances of the Kashmiri people. Again, not because there is a terrorism, but because it is a genuine issue. On the 10th, 4 days ago, 5 protesters were murdered in Kashmir. Now, these kind of problems, India cannot shy away from, just exactly the way Pakistan cannot shy away from the existence of banned outfit Jaish-e-Mohammed in Pakistan and the fact that they are at least claiming to operate from within Pakistan.
Okay, Emma,
so these are the things that...
Yeah, Emma, I don't want to go into the blame game as of now, but I do want to ask you this question of whether this is going to impact any sort of back-channel conversation that these two countries were hoping to have. We know that the Kartarpur was considered one of those, moments in India-Pakistan relations, in the recent few months that had sort of evoked a certain amount of hope that there will be some normalcy. Do we go back now 5 steps because of what's happened here?
The thing is, it is not blame game. I was just talking about Pakistan, and certainly I'm not blaming Pakistan for anything. I think that is the core issue that is at hand. I am offending Pakistanis when I say Pakistan needs to understand that Jaish-e-Mohammed, whether banned or not, cannot operate from Pakistan. And Pakistan are saying you're blaming Pakistan. I am not. These are the facts. Pakistan and India need to realize that the problems are more deep-rooted than the surface level that the media is scratching. We need to understand in depth what are the real solutions for Kashmir and not wait for terrorist things to happen before we can comment and think that people are biased. It's coming from a completely unbiased position that it's a condemnable act, and it is condemnable for India not to take care of Kashmir and the basic human rights of Kashmir, and for Pakistan not to arrest and stop Jaish-e-Mohammed from operating from the country. That is hardly blame game. That is my neutral standpoint that neither side would like.
Okay, we're just going to, Ishan and Emma, stay with us. We're just going to roll out this bite of, I think, Mehbooba Mufti, and then we'll come back to you.
Modi ji, nation wants to know, why do you continue to compromise on national security in this fashion? After Uri, this is the biggest second terror attack on Indian soil. When will the 56 inches chest really grow forward to defend our borders and to defend our Jawans? Every day when we receive the dead bodies of our Jawan who have martyred themselves for defending our borders, for defending the Bharat Mata, Prime Minister Modi remains mum. Even today, as our Jawans fight the battle between life and death, Prime Minister Modi is a mute spectator and a silent spectator.
ऐसी हालत में जहां इतने सारे लोग एकदम से जिनको जो शहीद किए जाएं और उनकी फैमिलीज का क्या हाल होगा, उनकी फैमिलीज पे जो इस वक्त जो उनकी फैमिलीज के ऊपर एक तूफान आ गया है, कैसे संभालेंगे इसको? मैं उम्मीद करती हूं कि न सिर्फ मरकजी सरकार बल्कि तमाम जो मुल्क की हमारी जमातें हैं, सब मिलके इस मसले का कोई हल निकालें ताकि ये खून खराबा हमेशा के लिए बंद हो जाए.
All right, and Ishan, now you were talking about how IED blast is something that Jammu and Kashmir hasn't seen in the recent past. This is something that we often see in Chhattisgarh, in Jharkhand happening with the Maoist attacks. So this is one thing that's different in this particular attack. Not to forget that this is one of the most audacious attacks we've seen, not just when it comes to Uri, but even before that, and possibly the worst attack we've seen in Jammu and Kashmir in over a decade. Now, do you think that the murmurs for a fresh election will start once more? Because already the Congress is saying this is the failed policy of the Modi government. The centre hasn't done anything for Jammu and Kashmir. The security situation has only worsened.
Well, absolutely right. You know, there have been allegations and counter-allegations by both the parties, including the BJP and the Congress, that the situation in Kashmir has worsened and the iron fist policy would not work in Kashmir. That has been the saying of the local parties as well. And this particular attack has come at a time when there were already, yesterday only, there were transfers in the police department that are usual before the Election Commission issues a notice and stops these transfers. So, actually the bell was ringing for the elections in the Kashmir Valley again. And the forces were checking their deployments, the additional requirement that was required for the Kashmir Valley to conduct these elections. But this attack has come at a time when the Kashmir Valley was about to go into the election mode, and there were already rallies and visits being carried out by the political leaders, including Umar and Mahbub Mufti in South Kashmir as well. So at the same time, we're seeing that this is something which is unusual in Kashmir, that these attacks take place in the Kashmir Valley. We have seen that in South Kashmir, forces have been able to seize several material which is an explosive material to actually, stop these kind of attacks. But this time around, there has been a security lapse that we'll have to wait and watch that what the security forces say, that how this particular attack took place, that how were they able to, gather this sort of material to carry out this huge attack, that a car could be, brought in and, that could be rammed into something, including the security force installation. This has been something which we can say that there has been a security lapse on part of the forces, because there have been times when the militants haven't been given any breather from the last 3 or 4 months, which was part of an operation all out, which was being carried out not only by the army but also CRPF and the Jammu and Kashmir police. At the same time, this highway has come under attack again and again. This time again, this has come under attack. So there will be a lot of questions raised that how far was the QRT, how far were the security forces from that particular place, and basically why was this particular place chosen by this group to carry out this attack. And locals will also be questioned. There will be some arrests made by the security forces, but we'll have to wait and watch, as Home Minister is also coming to Kashmir tomorrow. He may take a meeting of all the security agencies in the Kashmir, and the top brass of the forces will be there in the meeting. That's unusual and a procedure that takes place after such incidents. This is a big attack that has taken place after Uri, as you rightly mentioned from the start. But after Uri, we saw that a surgical strike happened, and since then there has been no resumption of direct dialogue between the two countries. But at the same time, this will also hamper the peace process between the two countries. This attack has come as something which India will respond very seriously and give out a befitting reply to these people who are involved in this particular attack.
Absolutely, Ishan, and I'm going to let you go now. I know you have to gather more information on what's going to be happening in the next couple of hours, but thanks very much for getting us all the latest details there from on the ground. Ishan Wani reporting live from Srinagar. But Emma Shaheen, let me come back to you now. Unfortunately for India and Pakistan, we go from the narrative goes from one attack to the other and some conversation in between. So we're going to be shifting back to now stopgap reactions from possibly both sides. And this is an election year, so there will be reactions that will come in which will be high-pitched. And in all of that, I think the peace process gets lost.
Yes, that is indeed a problem. If you talk about your Prime Minister, I have sympathies with your Prime Minister because he's being asked by the vote bank and by the media to do a bit of warmongering. I mean, he's being criticized even right now that why are you silent? The problem with the leaders of both India and Pakistan is that the demand is to do something. However, the talks have not resumed, and India says that talks will resume once Pakistan stops terrorism. The whole thing is that if India wants Pakistan to stop its alleged involvement or its soil being allegedly being used by Jaish-e-Mohammed, then India has to do the dialogue. Surgical strikes cause Pakistan denies that there have been any surgical strikes. Surgical strikes are, the first actions before wars. Nuclear states cannot go to wars. It is completely ridiculous the way we think that we can solve the problem somehow by not talking to each other. Both the countries need to start talking about the issues that they are sensitive about. Pakistan should be okay if India wants to talk about terrorism and originating allegedly from Pakistan. India should be okay, even if it wants to be sensitive, to talk about the Kashmir issue so that it can be resolved for real. And we should not force our leaders to, the election year means that Narendra Modi cannot be rational at all about the Kashmir issue. He has to bash Pakistan in order to garner support from all the voters. It's an unfortunate scene. And I think even Rahul Gandhi has to go out of his way to criticize Pakistan. And it's the same over here. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari has to call Nawaz Sharif Modi ka yaar just to try to win elections. That narrative has to change. That political scenario has to change, where we can be rational and we can be pro-talks and pro-dialogue.
But Emma, we certainly hope that Pakistan can do more when it comes to terror. We already know that, you are in the Financial Action Task Force. You've been named in the grey list. Today in the European Commission list, also Pakistan has been told you're not doing enough when it comes to terror financing. So there are many things that Pakistan can also do before a composite dialogue can start between India and Pakistan. I do want to bring the first reactions coming in from Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He has tweeted and said that the attack on the CRPF personnel in Pulwama is despicable. I strongly condemn this dastardly attack. The sacrifices of our brave security personnel should not go in vain. The entire nation stands shoulder to shoulder with families of the brave martyrs. May the injured recover quickly. He's also said that he's spoken to the Home Minister Rajnath Singh and other top officials regarding the situation in the wake of the Pulwama attack. Now, all of this also coming at the time when we believe that the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval is also monitoring the situation in Kashmir. He has also spoken to senior CRPF officials and presumably all the senior security establishment there in Jammu and Kashmir. We know that the Home Minister has now cancelled his rally in Patna and will be heading to Jammu and Kashmir tomorrow as well. The fears are, of course, that the death toll may increase. There are some reports coming in from our sister channel Z that the death toll may have increased to 26. So from Uri, which had 18 soldiers that had died, now we're up to 26 as already, and there are already 40 CRPF men who are very, very critically injured. There are many of them who are at the Army Base Hospital. From Ishan, we know that the road has now been cleared. Pulwama has been a trouble spot in Jammu and Kashmir for a very long time, but this kind of an IED blast is something that we're seeing that hasn't happened in Jammu and Kashmir. This was a convoy of 70 CRPF vehicles. It had 2,500 CRPF men traveling from Jammu to Srinagar, and yet, as Ishan was pointing out, there was, of course, the fact that one of those cars actually rammed into and the blast took place. So obviously many questions to be asked there.
Thank you, Ishan, and move on to the next one. We're thanking him and moving on to the next story.
All right, Ishan and Emma Shaheen, thanks very much both for joining us on this big story. We will be tracking all the latest details on what's happening in Jammu and Kashmir.